Okay. And I already know that I'm creating this with my phone. But nonetheless, the sound is separated because I wanted to think as fast as I could while also being informative. Most of you can type faster than a phone, so that works, and also lets you take the time to follow along. First, I'm going to create a node called drawing because that's the first thing I'm going to do with this Godot app. Because if you look everywhere on Google Play, you don't have drawing. You don't really have. All these apps aren't free, so you have to create your own form of making material for your game. So unless you have a computer, of course, in which if you have a computer, you just use Blender. But function draw would be the first thing, and you can learn a lot more than if you just came here as an advanced person. I'm about to start with a 4 in range loop. That you could do JSON. JSON probably is better on handling memory, but for this, your phone can handle thousands of nodes for drawing because you're not going to be utilizing them in the game. You're just going to be utilizing them to create material for the game. So I started in 4 in range get child count because the second node is very important, node 2D, for this drawing that I'm going to be doing. And we're just going to draw a circle, and I'm going to show you that the best advice is, if you don't know something, and I do, just look up the symbol. Look up the symbol. The top thing is draw a circle. You're going to need a position, a radius, and a color. The position is also redefined with vector 2, radius is defined with float, and color is defined with color, which is 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And so I'm also going to rename the second node color position, because that's what I care about, is the color and the position of the node. You might be wondering, how the fuck does a node 2D have color? It has a modulate. All 2D nodes seem to have a color, even though it's just extra information. So it does have a color, and we're just going to get the first child. Eventually we'll be getting several children for drawing. Yeah, sorry about the notifications. And right now I'm putting in the position. I'm doing draw circle, get child position. Then I'm going to put in the radius, which is right now 5. Later that will be redefined by a slider. And then I'm going to get child again, and this time the color, which is going to be defined by its modulate, which is a color. It really is. The modulate is just color. So just another word for color in this case. Now that that's all nice and done, we can put in our Q redraw. Of course, I spelt it wrong because I'm an asset. So it's QUEUE underscore redraw. And then we can save or press play to save. Either one, as long as your code is not messed up. You don't see anything red. We can also go ahead and move the node to see if our circle is drawn. And we'll see a dot. That is the circle that's drawn. And we can also see that with my phone, the blue bars are not outlining the edges of my viewport. Actually, my viewport is actually bigger than the blue bars, so I will have to edit that in the editor settings later. Which those blue bars are supposed to define the viewport, what you're supposed to see in the viewport. So those blue bars are not doing me any favors right now. And I might actually just adjust the screen per view rect instead of using my rect, because there's several different kinds of rects for phones. Right now I'm gonna go ahead and add a color picker. The color picker obviously picks colors and stuff, and I'm going to go ahead and put in some code to give us like a switch for the color picker. Like obviously I have a mouse on my phone. I figure anybody can use a mouse on their phone, and everybody's, if you're using their computer, has a mouse. So I'm just going to do some basic inputs with the mouse. First I'm going to get the color picker with the money, and then I'm going to set its position in the beginning, so I don't have to fuck with making a precise position. I'm just going to set it in the ready and do vector 2 -500 -500. It's arbitrary, but it's off the viewport, and that's the whole point. And in fact, I could throw a whole bunch of stuff in -500 500 and just forget about it for now. Right now I'm going to go ahead and set the inputs. There are going to be 3. There's going to be titled right _m, which is going to be our right mouse click. Left _m, which is going to be our left mouse click, and then middle _m, which is going to be our middle mouse click. If you don't have a mouse with the middle button, they're like $5. Mouse, any kind of cheap mouse, all of them should have middle buttons at this point. So you just add in your inputs by clicking on the detect signal, listening signal bar, and it'll give you your inputs. And then for starters, I'm going to start with I might actually create my bowling here, but I'm going to start with my inputs. Sorry about the dog. I'm going to move away from over here. I'm going to do input is action pressed. And I think that comes with all underscores. And it's just is action pressed, and then just go ahead and do the quotation marks and select the one you wish. I'm doing left mouse because that's going to be for drawing. And I'm going to go ahead and create my vector flip, which is just going to be a number. Var flip, float, flip, sorry. Float, boolean, whatever, it's a flip. Right now it is a integer flip instead of a boolean flip, because that was easier for me. And once I have that set up, it should just equal 1, and then on my input I add and flip equals 1. The reason why is because I don't want to draw while my color picker's out. And for now I'm just going to add a child, and we're going to go ahead and get child within the parentheses, get child 0, and then we're going to go ahead and do dot duplicate. And what's going to happen is the added child will be the get child 0 dot duplicate, so the top child will be the one that's drawing. And that way we can just add all kinds of stuff to the scene, and all we have to do is adjust our child count. And that works. And also I got to separate this equals from the flip and correct the flip. It's equals 1. And that's all settled. I'm going to do if input dot is action just pressed, and we're going to go ahead and put in mid. This is going to allow us to pull out our color picker. So mid M, which is the middle mouse button. We're going to put our colon, enter. And what we want to do is move our color picker. But to do that, first we're going to adjust flip. And flip is going to be multiplied by flip. Flip equals flip. And then we're going to do times or star -1. So that way it flips from positive to negative. And before this input, we actually want to do our if flips so that it doesn't happen after. We want it to happen before, because at the end it'll actually mess with our timing. I mean, it might not in this case, but in other cases, if you're coding, you want to do it before the input is pressed, because it'll mess with that one frame. And so we're going to go ahead and get our color picker, and then we're going to do position color picker dot position equals vector2, and it's going to be 0 0. I think -0. Yeah, 0 0. Vector2 0 0 within the parentheses, and then we're going to enter, and then we're going to back up and do another flip. Just go ahead and copy this script I put, and instead of -1, we're going to do +1, and instead of vector 2 0 0, we're going to do -500 -500 to get it out of the way. And that actually solves a lot of our else problems, if LF problems, and a lot of problems, because it keeps it set within the process, like based on this integer, which is a boolean, right, that we made. And now we can go ahead and go back to draw circle get child, and we're going to do I, which is going to go ahead and get the duplicated child. But it's not going to do that right away, because I still haven't adjusted the mouse position. So within the if input.isAction pressed, we're going to go ahead and get the first child, because the first child is also the duplicated one. 0 dot position get child 0 position equals get viewport underscore viewport, and dot get underscore mouse. And you could get global mouse position and stuff like that, but if you're working within a viewport and you want to draw on the viewport onto a plane or something like that, you're going to want to do it this way, preferably, because it gets rid of a lot of problems. That's why I do it that way. You want to get the viewport within something that it'll matter later. Also, we're going to change our other get child for the color to I. We want that both on the draw circle from 0 0 to I. We're also going to go ahead and get the child 0 and change its color. Dot modulate equals money color picker dot color, which will give us the color. And now we can draw and we can change the color. Immediately, that is our options. We can draw and change colors. And then I'm going to get into a couple of issues with the slider because the slider starts misbehaving. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a H slider for the radius, but I actually want you to just go ahead and add a V slider instead of an H slider because I'm going to change it to a V slider later on. And just change it to V slider instead of H slider. And all the script I'm about to put down is for the H slider. And then I'm going to go ahead and adjust for I in range child count to -2 because I have 2 extra things I don't need in my drawing. So now the radius is going to equal the slider dot value. We're going to adjust the position in the ready for the H slider to be -500 for 500 so it can be out of the way. I'm just going to go ahead and copy the vector to 500 500. It might have been faster for me to write it, but whatever. And within flip -1, if flip equals -1, we're going to go ahead and grab our H slider. And what I had determined is it was 40 by 575. I'm right now going to do position equals, and I'm just trying to sort this out. In this, I'm actually just going to go ahead and skip ahead because my girlfriend's going to actually need my help here. The second one is going to be obviously -500, -500. I think I did -500, 500, which, I mean, doesn't really qualify for much. So I'm just going to go ahead and fiddle around with it for a moment. And it will actually be, if I actually go ahead and go past, not 13, but I did 13, 575, and then I settled on 40, 575, and it ended up being a V slider, which this is the great thing about editing is I can just go ahead and fast forward. And you can see that I'm changing the size and the size and the color and the alpha and everything for drawing, which is kind of what you want to get more detail. We also want to do different types of brushes, but that's for later. Especially if we want to make a landscape, but you might not necessarily need one because we also have assets in Godot for the landscape. And then you can see I changed it to a V slider later. I'm just renaming it H slider, so I'm just going to go ahead and skip ahead a little bit. I think I crashed it. And this is where I settled on 40, 575, which was actually a decent place for the V slider. And then I changed the alpha to demonstrate. That is actually a problem, a bug that I need to solve for is the value size. So instead of changing the circles based on the total H slider size, I should be changing the node scales instead, which would be a better way to do this. So when I come back, I'll do that, actually. So that'll leave you with a bit of information on drawing. I mean, it's not like I'm going to jump in and make a game right now type of information, but it is going to get you started. It'll give you, like if you're one of those people who experiment, it'll give you almost everything you need to experiment with such a thing.